Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Higher on History. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Liz.
And, oh, we were supposed to wait for that to go off. We started a little early. So...
We have a great episode for you today, but we're going to start with... Jordan has a big update.
Yeah. So over the last few, I don't know, would you say over the last year pretty much?
That's what I understand, yeah.
Yeah. This discovery happened actually in 2018, but Volcano Day. I'm correcting that episode from season 1. It would be episode 5 if anyone's interested in checking it out. So in 2018, there were some discoveries found under the ash layer. So when the volcano erupted, as we all know, it let off a huge plume of ash that buried everything. So under this ash layer was a charcoal graffiti that said the 16th calendar's day before Novemberus technically translates out to the 16th day 16th calendar day before November. So it technically would translate out to the modern Julian calendar as somewhere around October 17th, actually, would be the true volcano day. And that was based off of archaeological and scientific evidence. As I said, it's mainly because the calendar switched. And then the way that we actually have also proven this, other than the charcoal graffiti, is there's been... It's not fresh anymore because that volcano erupted in 79 AD, but they have found, preserved fruits of pomegranates and chestnuts that are not actually readily available for harvesting and being fresh until sometime around the month of September or even October, which is quite after August.
Nice.
Yeah. And also...
Oh, and didn't I read something about the people were wearing warmer clothing, more like November clothing, right? Yeah,
through laser scanning, they've discovered that the fabric the people were wearing were heavier wool garments instead of the lighter summertime linens that they would have been wearing in August. And a couple of the victims of that day were actually found carrying braziers, which back then were portable, fire heaters. If you play video games, you've lit a brazier at one point or another.
True.
Right. And also, there were some coins that were discovered, and the way they were minted was specifically after, the way they were dated on, the coin was minted after Volcano Day. So they were actually in the ash layer underneath. So now Pliny the Younger was our number one source for Volcano Day. His writings and his eyewitness testimony were our key evidence to the date of the eruption. Now, Pliny's letters and his recollections are actually now coming into a lot of question due to translation issues. The original copy doesn't even exist. It has been lost for hundreds of years at this point. And has also been copied many times over from different languages.
So you've got the basic translation over time problem that you have with most ancient scripts.
Now, because this evidence is still brand new, there is still a lot of scientific debate going on, and I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime, if Volcano Day will ever truly change, but that debate is still up for question. So, if you guys wanted to weigh in, definitely leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Liz, you got Rousseau planned for us today, right?
I am. I do. I seem to be missing cards 1 through 11. So that's going to be fun.
Oh boy.
I don't know what happened. I thought they were all together this whole time.
Oh no.
So, I don't see them anywhere. Yep, okay. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, without cards 1 through 11 for mysterious and unknown reasons. Okay, he was born in 1669, I think. And when he was just 9 days old, his mom died. And it's super important to understand how this shaped his very early childhood. So his dad used to try to keep his mom alive for him by reading him what they called were romance novels, but they didn't mean Harlequin novels like we do today. What they really meant.
He was born.
Oh, I'm sorry. He was born in 1712.
On June 28th. That makes
It
him
was
Cancer.
Madame. It was Madame de Warons who was born in 1669.
Oh,
Yeah. So his dad raises him in they live in a very small place. It's a little one-room doohickey, and it's a quiet life. And his dad comes home from work and he reads these adventure novels to him, because that was what was meant by romance novels. And then when he's 10 years old, his dad's like this volatile dude, right? And his dad gets into it with a French officer, and they have a duel, which was illegal, and he kind of nicks the French officer. Like, the guy isn't even badly hurt or anything, but it's going to result in fines, maybe a little jail time. And so Rousseau's father takes him to his Uncle Bernard's house and just leaves him there and flees the city of Geneva.
That's so messed up.
And never actually manages to effectively reconnect with his son. They exchange some letters. Rousseau writes about him, but he just leaves, and he's very much out of the picture and out of the story from this point forward.
Wow.
So then, all of a sudden, and this is where I am really sad about these cards. I wish I'd known they were missing before we started recording, because he had some fascinating and quotes about life in this time at his Uncle Bernard's. But basically, there's a lot of kids there. This is more in the city.
Yeah.
It's a big household. It's a loud household. It's got rules. It's got chores. It's got all kinds of stuff. It's very, very different from how he grew up.
Right.
And he's not grown up. He's 10 years old. He finds everything kind of unpleasant, right? Now,
I mean, that's a big change, going from the only child with one parent to
right,
a household.
Household, yeah. And, his aunt and uncle weren't cruel to him.
That's a plus.
Yeah, they were kind people, but they sent him first to apprentice with a notary. And this notary is like all about like punctuality and being prim and proper. And right away we discover that Rousseau has no capacity for prim and proper and rules, and he's got a very consistent time management thing.
We call it ADHD nowadays.
Yeah, he's kind of like, if you look at his life story, he is sort of the textbook child for ADHD cluster behaviors. We don't diagnose people from afar like that, but still, it's a little hard not to notice. It's going to come up multiple times in this video. So he's allergic to punctuality, and in like just a few months, it doesn't even take long, the notary just sends him back to his uncle. He's like, nah, this is not working out.
Oh boy.
At all. So then his Uncle Bernard tries again, and this time he apprentices him to I've forgotten. I remember the name of the man. A guy named Ducamel.
You want me to look that up?
Yeah, please. And this guy Ducamon is harsh, and he's strict, very disciplinarian sort of person. We're gonna look up this fact check. I can't believe I lost my cards here. Oh, and the internet's gonna take forever because it is.
Of course it's gonna take. He was an engraver.
Oh, an engraver, right. And Rousseau is not doing well there. There's mention that at this time in his life, he actually starts sneaking off in the middle of the night, sneaking to a sort of hidden room to read books. And it doesn't really explain why he has to, like, I did try to find out. I was trying to find out why he needed to sneak away to read his books. And it didn't really say. But it is good to note at this time that Geneva, in that time, was a republic. And it was Protestant. It was mostly run by Calvinists. And Calvinists are known for an exceptionally strict work ethic. Things like books would have been considered by some to be vanity or above his station, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So he's sneaking to read books. And this goes on until one day he leaves the city of Geneva, and he goes on a walk. Now, we covered this in your episode about Voltaire. Yes?
Yeah,
so Geneva locked the city gates at night. They closed and locked the city gates, and after a certain point, you couldn't get back in. You just have to wait till morning. So Rousseau comes back to the city, and he discovers he's late. Which is not surprising for Rousseau, but this sets a new course in his life. Remember, Ducamon has beaten him severely at least once that we know of, and he knows he's going to be in trouble, so he decides he's done with Geneva.
I mean, I don't blame him, really.
Yeah, there's nothing to blame here. And he stumbles across the border penniless. I mean, he literally went on a walk, right? Yeah. So he was not prepared for this. He's got no food, he's got no money.
Yeah.
And he just walks, and he walks all the way across the border into Savoy.
I mean, I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to go back to Ducamon.
Yeah, right. So Savoy is Catholic. And right away, he runs into a Catholic priest.
Oh.
Just to give a little bit of background, it's going to come up again when we talk about Madame de Warren, which we're going to hear momentarily.
Right.
But you should know that the king of Piedmont and Sardinia at the time is a guy named Matthias II. Okay? And he wants... He can't afford, he's got a small kingdom, right? So he can't afford to tick anybody off, and he needs Geneva and France to maybe not go to war with each other either, because they'll run him right over.
Right.
So he has decided, rather than going to war, what he will do is try to convert prominent Protestants to Catholicism, and just make Catholicism very appealing in a soft power sort of way.
Nice.
And one of the ways they do this is they set up sort of a net of priests and so forth and charity workers across the border.
Yeah.
And they catch these young apprentices, these young ne'er-do-wells fleeing Geneva.
Okay.
And then they show them kindness. And comfort,
compassion.
And love and compassion, and sure enough, this actually works. It works on Rousseau, as we will see. So he runs right into the arms of this guy named Father Pontever de Thorens.
Ah.
Like I said, this happened all the time. This priest, as soon as he sees Rousseau, he knows what he's looking at, so he brings him to the monastery. Rousseau only stays at this monastery somewhere between 2 and 4 days. I couldn't pin it down.
So not very long.
Not long at all. But he receives kindness. And Father Pontevier recognizes right away that he's a very bright child, that he's inquisitive, that he's got an agile mind.
Right.
And so he sends a letter of introduction to Madame de Warren, and calls Rousseau a boy of great promise.
Oh.
And Rousseau goes on to describe Father Pontevier as very kind. He
I mean, not all priests are bad men.
well, no. In fact, most of them are not. In the long run of it, regardless of the religion, most priests are not terrible people. But those 2 to 4 days helped shape Rousseau's later philosophies, including specifically that society corrupts, but individuals can be deeply good, and true salvation comes through natural human warmth, not institutions. So he's very anti-institutionalist right from the beginning, but
Yeah.
he sees that people, individuals within institutions, can be good and kind. So
Yeah.
we are actually going to skip Rousseau's story for just a moment and move over to Madame de Warren, who I really thought I had separated her cards. I did. Okay. So, behind every great man is a great woman. Yes,
Of
indeed.
course.
Yes, indeed. And I had to go hunting for information about this woman, but she is the reason. She's the reason for so much. And she never knew it, and she never would. But she inspires all the gentle and kind and good women in the books that Rousseau writes.
Yeah.
And those books are what's being read by every class in France. And his ideas are what lead to the revolution. So this relationship
is like the most important, influential relationship in his life.
It is. And we're going to draw a straight line between this and Marie Antoinette here in a minute. But let's start off, because we need to give everybody in history who played a significant role their due course. And it's always the ladies that get skipped.
Right.
So she was born in 1699 to a Swiss Protestant family. They were minor family.
Minor nobility.
Yeah. But they had money, influence, and power.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, respective to the fact that they were a minor family, but they were very rich and they were very respectable.
Yeah.
Right. So they marry her. She's actually down in the line of daughters. She's not expected or needed to be particularly in anybody.
Right.
And
Isn't
so
she like the youngest daughter or something like that?
I don't remember if she was the youngest, but she was third or fourth in the lineage. Yeah. So she gets married off to this Spanish Catholic soldier.
Okay.
Or not Spanish Catholic soldier. Catholic soldier. No, he's not Spanish. He's also French. Named Claude Etienne de Warren. And that marriage goes super bad, like right from the beginning. She's warm and free-spirited and exceptionally well-educated. I tried to deep dive this a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't get very far. But for some reason, for a woman of her time and even of her class, she's exceptionally well-educated and she's very, very bright.
Yeah?
She's warm, she's curious, And Claude Etienne, not so much. But the real trouble, they never have any children, by the way, and they never get divorced, but the marriage goes so bad so quickly that they separate right away. He runs off to be soldier kind of for all time, and she sort of starts carving out her own destiny.
Oh.
So the real trouble begins
Yeah.
when she converts to Catholicism.
Of course.
Well, he's already Catholic, so you're like, well, what? How is her converting to Catholicism such a problem for their marriage that he leaves, he takes off, he never returns?
He never actually returns.
He never returns.
Oh boy, so he becomes forever soldier.
Right, because she converted to his religion. But you remember that thing I said about King Matthias earlier?
Yep, and
So
his plan.
She was one of the prominent Protestants, so her conversion isn't seen as a spiritual, oh, I found the light. It's seen for exactly what it is.
Money.
A political ploy. So the king, Matthias, is going to pay her a lifelong stipend to run a household, like this sort of mini salon.
Yeah.
And
convert these runaways.
Exactly so, and make them amenable to this other way of life, right?
Huh, okay.
And she does that, and so when this Father Pontever de Thorens writes to her about Rousseau, she's like, yep, come on over and
bring him on in.
Right? However, she was cut off by her family because now she's seen as a traitor.
Of course.
And the other Catholics in the area,
the true Catholics,
the true Catholics, right? Including her husband's family, they see her as a spy. So she's
that's funny.
She took the hard road to make her own life, but she's not yeah, she gets cut off. She basically lives on the benefit of the king.
Yeah.
And as we can see, that's not the most stable.
That's not ever a good idea.
Yeah, that's not a particularly stable plan.
Yeah.
So, I think we can skip all the rest of that. That was a pretty good sum up. She was highly effective, by the way. Rousseau wasn't even, well, I mean, he was by far her most famous student, but, she was hosting all kinds of people. There were, in her salons, and this is important to notice, so she's got this estate. Mm-hmm. It's pastoral, it's idyllic, and there's music, and there's discussions, and priests are there, and minor intellectuals are there, and minor nobles are there. So Rousseau, at the age of 16 years old, winds up in this woman's house, and she is kind, and she is good to him. She gives him an education, and he is devoted to her for life. At first, this relationship starts off very, very parental. She's very maternal.
Right.
Later, when they both become adults, well, wait, she's already an adult.
Yeah.
She was born in 1699. He was born in 1712. So there is an age gap. Later in life, he woos her. And at first, she's like, no. Man. But eventually, he wins her over, and they become lovers.
Okay.
And they remain close until she passes away in 1762.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Let's see here. So she tries to send him to school at one point.
Yeah.
That goes about as well as you'd expect. He flunks out kind of immediately. He can't sit in class.
Can't pay attention.
He doesn't meet his deadlines. He doesn't do his work. He spends most of his time taking very long walks in nature. Forms the belief that nature heals. This guy definitely learns different. So he leaves school and he goes back to Madame de Warren's. And again, these are probably the happiest years of his life.
Right.
He's a part of the household now. He does chores. He participates in.
He's found where he belongs.
He really has. And then King Matthias dies.
Oh no.
Yeah, kind of the beginning of the end for this wonderful situation. So the king who comes after him, King Charles Emmanuel,
Yeah.
the second, the third. Boy, that's going to be buried in these notes. I took 58 cards worth of notes. We are obviously not going to read them or we'd be here forever.
An hour and a half is what we recorded our original when we had no
we're
sound.
trying to get that down a little bit.
That was a beautiful episode.
It was really good. But unfortunately, King Charles Emmanuel III.
Yeah.
He sort of just doesn't get it about the soft power thing, converting Catholics, and so
Yeah.
after he takes power, first the payments to Madame de Warren's start being delayed, then they become less and less, and they're more delayed, they're more sporadic, and then eventually they just stop altogether.
Yep.
Problem, Madame de Warren's has no idea how to make money, and neither does Rousseau. And they keep on taking dependents.
Of course they do.
And they just have no money left. So Rousseau is forced to leave and go first to the city of Lyon.
Yeah.
And then to Paris.
Oh.
Well, he goes with this sort of half-cocked invention. And what it is it's a device that's supposed to put musical notation on the page.
Like a printing design for music notes.
For sheet music, yeah. I tried to look up this design. I tried to find out more about it. All I could find was that the Academy of Sciences rejected it for being a half-cocked idea. I don't know why that is. I don't know whether they said it was half-baked and maybe it was a good invention and they just didn't want to take it from a provincial lad. But I couldn't find anything else about how it worked or what it was,
Yeah. That's funny.
So anyway. And so he starts taking odd jobs. I think he works as a notary for a little while. He works as a copyist for a bit.
Okay.
And he spends some time transcribing sheet music. That's one of the things he learned to do when he was living with Madame de Warren. So he is making up pittance copying sheet music, right?
Okay, yeah.
But that does put him in touch with musicians, and the musicians and the Enlightenment thinkers are hanging out in the same salons. This is like the Bohemian Revolution before the Bohemian Revolution, right?
It really is, yeah.
And so he gets invited to a party to go hang out with other musicians, and some of those other musicians happen to be Enlightenment thinkers. And this is super important because this is where he meets a guy named Diderot.
Ah, yes, Diderot.
Diderot could not be more important for a variety of reasons in terms of Enlightenment thinkers and his contributions. He's also kind of the Spock of the Enlightenment thinkers, and that's going to come up here in a minute.
Yeah.
But they don't actually meet over philosophy.
Yeah.
That's not what starts their friendship. It's music. Diderot immediately sees talent in young Rousseau.
Yeah.
Diderot comes from money. Rousseau doesn't.
Okay.
But they start talking, and they really get very close.
Yeah.
And then Diderot goes to prison. Because Diderot was very, very anti-religious, and he wrote some stuff that was very
yeah.
anti-religious.
Ticked off the wrong people.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these Enlightenment thinkers do that.
Yeah, and he tended to write pretty spicy stuff.
I mean, even modern Enlightenment thinkers.
Yeah. So, Diderot goes to prison in 1749 for this really spicy anti-religious material, and he winds up going to Vincennes prison.
Oh.
And Rousseau is in the habit of actually walking several miles, a couple of times a week, to go visit him in this prison. That's how close they were as friends.
Oh, wow.
So, on his way, this is one of the coolest stories in history. On his way, walking to visit Diderot in prison, Rousseau happens to hear the question that's being framed by the Academy of Dijon. Now, the Academy of Dijon is holding a essay contest.
Oh, yeah.
And you're supposed to write an essay in regards to a question. And the question they asked: has the progress of the arts and sciences contributed to the corruption or the improvement of morals? And of course they're expecting, like, gushing, oh, the sciences will bring us everything, and this improves the bestial state of man. That's a very Enlightenment way to think of it. And Rousseau has a completely different reaction. I actually want to I want to quote him here. Here's how he described his reaction on hearing that question. He said, "I felt my mind dazzled by 1,000 lights. I saw another universe and became another man." So he rushes off to the prison to go tell Diderot about this question and this sort of epiphany he's having. Diderot believes in him. Doesn't matter that he's poor. Diderot actually believes in him as a person.
Yeah.
I think Diderot sort of sees a Rousseau as proof in the pudding that class does not measure intelligence or the ability to learn or to have an interesting contribution to the conversation, right? So he basically answers that power corrupts, refinement leads to moral decay, civilization corrupts morals and innocence, the morals and innocence of man rather than improving them, that the arts flatter the powerful and distract the ordinary man, that luxury creates vice and inequality, and that scientific prestige feeds ego and competition, where modern society makes people perform virtue instead of living it. Simplicity breeds honesty, sophistication breeds corruption. This is basically the argument
I don't blame him.
he makes.
I would take it and go that way with it too.
You know, I wouldn't.
Choose to be the devil's advocate.
And truth be told, I was not a huge fan of Rousseau.
Yeah.
And this is part of why, because my initial reaction was a little bit like, oh my goodness, another guy gonna argue against education. Like, I guess they had, anti-intellectuals in the 1700s too, right? And so that's kind of like, it was, his philosophy was badly presented to me, and so I kind of rejected it. I don't agree with him.
Yeah.
But on further, closer examination, what he was talking about is that he inherently believed that children were good and innocent, that all mankind was born into a state of good and innocence, that the adults came in and crushed that out of children. You can kind of see how his childhood would lead him to this.
I can see why, but I have watched way too many, videos on the YouTube of like children born killers and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And man, I don't know. I think some people are just born innately evil.
I can't comment on that. I do know that not everyone is born innately good.
Yeah.
So the final line that he wrote in this essay, this is how important this essay is. The final line he wrote was, "Our souls have become corrupted in proportion as our sciences and our arts have advanced towards perfection." So he was basically saying, we're doing all this stuff to improve on the outside. We're doing nothing to improve
the inside,
the moral, the rot, the decay. And of course, he can look around him and see that rot and decay all around him, right? So, of course, the Academy of Dijon, they read this essay. They are horrified. They're shocked. I mean, he, like, shocks the Enlightenment community.
Yeah.
And then they promptly crown him the winner.
I mean, he deserved it.
Yeah. I said people were properly horrified. It is good to note that maybe none of them were quite as horrified as Voltaire. Voltaire really took umbrage with this.
Oh yeah, no, Voltaire and him were nit for the pecking at each other constantly.
Oh yeah. So Rousseau and Diderot, they stayed friends until about the 1750s. And by the 1750s, their philosophies are beginning to diverge.
Right.
Diderot is part of a massive Enlightenment era project to create the world, and he did. He's the chief editor of the world's first encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly ambitious, even by today's standards. If you sat around with 12 of the smartest guys you knew, and you said, there's no encyclopedia, let's make one from scratch. Or try to put all the knowledge of mankind into one place. That would be...
It was like a 10-year project or something like that. I've been doing a little research on it recently, and I mean, there was countless contributors, and it even got banned at one point after publication.
So... Diderot is making arguments for reason and the accumulation of knowledge, and Rousseau is making arguments for what he sees as the authentic state of man.
Right.
And then Diderot writes a play, and the play is widely seen as mocking Rousseau.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Diderot, he regrets this. And he regrets the loss of their friendship actually quite deeply. It seems Rousseau did too, but Rousseau stayed mad.
Petty.
Diderot did kind of make fun of him, although he claims it was not intentional.
Yeah.
And they stopped being friends. Oh, yeah, in them... He described a fictional philosopher. Oh wait. Nope. I forgot to say what that description was like. But it did. At one point, I read like an overview of what it was, and I was like, oh wow, like you'd have a really hard time not reading Rousseau in that. So, like, if he didn't mean it on purpose, I swear that was, like, accidentally on purpose, or something. It's pretty obvious. Madame de Warrens dies in 1762, and that same year, Rousseau writes a book that changes how parents parent.
Oh.
He writes a book called Emile.
Okay.
And... parents love it. He argues that children should be taught through gentle guidance, natural exploration, and emotional safety over discipline, memorization, and punishment.
I mean, yeah.
He argues in this book that society warps children long before they can grow into their natural goodness.
No.
So here again, we've got this idea that children are born innocent, that mankind, society, civilization, the machinations of civilization is what breaks children and ultimately leads to the corruption of society.
I'll disagree with that.
I'm going to disagree with that too, but I love where he was coming from, because where he was really coming from is trying to protect. And I'll say another thing I came to appreciate about Rousseau. So most of these Enlightenment thinkers were pretty misogynistic.
Yeah.
And Rousseau was a racist. They were all pretty racist too.
Right.
Not all of them. Not all of them. I'm sorry. There were definitely some who were not. Who were virulently not.
Right.
But many of them were.
Many of them had slave trades and had investments in that industry.
Right. But Rousseau was really not misogynistic. He argued for the goodness in women. Maybe more than anyone else. I'm gonna say it did come through the patriarchal, misogynistic lens of his time, because his basic argument was that women are the nurturers, the healers, and so on and so forth. So he certainly only saw them in that role. Just to be clear, right? He also released a book called The Social Contract. Now, we may or may not have brought up the social contract. I don't think we have yet.
I don't think we have yet either.
It's super important to know about this book, because this is the book that the revolutionaries, particularly in the early days, Robespierre, everybody's going to run around with copies of this book quoting from it as the revolution is banging on. Robespierre is going to use the social contract as his Bible. In a sense, yeah. And it begins with this fiery line: "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." He argues here that legitimate authority only comes from the general will of the people, not kings or aristocrats.
Yep.
And of course, the book was banned in Geneva and France. And Rousseau has to flee. He actually's got to, get out of town for a minute. So he runs to England. He stays with David Hume for a while in England. They have a falling out because Rousseau is kind of temperamental and difficult. Super sensitive. He's very insecure. We really harped on this on the previous recording of this, just how insecure he was. But his childhood was a very insecure one. Right. He carries that insecurity with him the whole rest of his life. And as time goes on, he gets increasingly paranoid. Yeah. Part of that's understandable. And part of it is kind of his own doing. He was apparently quick to see his friends as enemies, even when they weren't being his enemies. He took little slights to heart.
He was just super sensitive.
Super sensitive, super insecure.
Emotional damage.
Of which he had a lot. So, he does eventually return to France. In the 1770s, he writes Confessions. Confessions is considered the world's first modern autobiography. And it's an interesting work because it's also one of the first books ever to explore what we today would call interiority.
Right.
So he spends a great deal of time in this book talking about his mistakes, his flaws. He's reflecting. This is, Confessions is... Confessions. His humiliations, his desires. And it really shocked readers. In fact, it's really such a shocking book for its time that nothing even close to it would be written again until, around Freud's time.
Oh, wow.
So it's beyond cutting edge. It also inspired generations worth of other writers.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. We're heading on towards the end here. I did want to read this. Rousseau, for all of his troubles, nonetheless had become a rare thinker who ultimately appealed to every class, each for wholly different reasons. So all these Enlightenment thinkers, they have classes that they appeal to.
Yeah.
Voltaire's very popular among the bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
Monarchy, not so much. And the peasant class didn't have a lot of use for Voltaire.
Yeah.
In fact, he bolts out of Paris at one point.
Couple of times,
yeah. Because he thinks the mob's coming for him.
Yeah.
The aristocracy loved his sentimental novel, Julie. They adapted the aesthetics of Julie, of ideal pastoralism. We're going to get back to that in a minute. The bourgeoisie loved his attacks on inequality and his praise of civil virtue. The poor loved his insistence that inequality was artificial and unjust. And the radicals loved the social contract, which taught that sovereignty belongs to the people alone. He united all of those classes that had nothing else in common, except the certainty that the system was rotten from the inside out.
Yep.
Before we go on completely, I do want to make that mention about Julie. So Julie is the book that inspires Marie Antoinette. Julie makes several pleas. Again, it's trying to appeal to what Rousseau saw as the inherent goodness in the nature of man. And here's the thing. A lot of people, most people, they do carry inherently good.
Yeah.
He starts talking about authenticity, and Marie Antoinette, and this is quite a bit later.
Right.
She reads this, and she really falls in love with this idea. Now, she's living in Versailles.
Right.
We've covered how performative Versailles is. It's a gilded cage.
Uh-huh.
It's a trap on every level.
Right. You have to tiptoe and prim and proper everywhere.
So imagine to her what a novel like Julie suggests. That even a queen should just try to be their most authentic self. That this is the inherent goodness of man. She adopts that. And this is why she winds up building that pastoral... what's often referred to as a mock village or a fantasy village, outside of outside of the Petit Trianon, which was this little chateau that the king gave her. The people think that that's a mockery, right? They see her as a tourist. They think that she's making fun of them.
Right, and all she's doing
is trying to get back to nature and be authentic. So massive disconnect there, but it directly relates to Rousseau's relationship with Madame de Warens and this book, Julie.
Ah.
That's how that happened. He would have, by the way, just been absolutely horrified to know how his words were used. He was trying to create a better mankind, like all the Enlightenment thinkers. He was trying to pull mankind up from what...
He would roll in his grave if he knew what Robespierre did with his words.
Oh yeah, he'd be really upset. And Robespierre, for his part, was very explicit that he was a disciple of Rousseau, not Voltaire.
Yeah.
Like, explicitly said that. It actually, here's the exact quote. 1791, Robespierre says, "I am a disciple of Rousseau. I owe him everything that I am." Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Rousseau would not have been okay with that, by the way.
Yeah, no.
He'd have been like, oh my gosh, what did you guys not hear about running back to nature and, like, healing yourselves? Like...
Do not! No with the guillotine! No!
No!
Bad Robespierre!
Like Voltaire, during the Revolution, Rousseau's body was actually taken and reinterred, reburied, in the Pantheon. Not far from Voltaire. I'm sure that would have pleased them both.
They're actually right next to each other.
Oh my goodness, they're right next to each other.
I can't believe they put them right next to each other.
Yeah, these two men who didn't even like each other, but they're buried next to each other for all time.
They had a big brother-bully relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is our episode on Rousseau. Thank you so much for being patient with us.
Come back
I think he really is the father of the revolution,
and then come back in 2 weeks and we're discussing the Enlightenment.
Well, not exactly 2 weeks, because
about a week and a half now.
No, we won't. I'll be in California.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, uh-oh.
Hold on, okay, so...
The 27th?
It wouldn't have been this one. It would be the 28th. Yeah, I'll still be in California.
Uh-oh. So I guess join us in about a month.
Yeah, and happy holidays on that note. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye.
Live long and prosper.